Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to say might offend you, but it will also change the way you see women forever. Most men are living in a lie. They believe women are attracted to looks, money, or smooth talking. They believe if they just become better on the outside, women will finally respect them. But the truth is far darker and far more powerful. Women don't fall for the man who tries the hardest. Women fall for the man who doesn't need them. And if you think I'm exaggerating, stay with me, because by the end of this video you'll understand something most men never realize until it's too late. You'll understand why certain older men, even average-looking ones, can walk into a room and instantly shift the atmosphere. Why women who claim they want a nice guy still end up emotionally addicted to a man who barely speaks. And why the men who chase the most are usually the men women secretly laugh at. But here's the real question. Why does this happen? Why does a woman ignore the man who gives her everything and crave the man who gives her nothing but presents? It's not magic. It's psychology. And in this video, I'm going to reveal the 5 traits that trigger something primal in a woman's mind. Traits that make her feel safe, challenged, curious, and dangerously attracted all at once. These are not childish dating tricks. These are deep masculine qualities that flip the power dynamic without you even trying. So if you're tired of being overlooked, tired of being the one who texts first, tired of feeling invisible, watch this until the end. Because one of these traits will hit you like a punch in the chest, and you'll realize you've been playing the game wrong your entire life. Most men don't realize this, but the fastest way to lose a woman's attraction is not by being broke, short, or average looking. It's by needing her approval like oxygen. It's by turning her opinion into your identity. Because the moment a woman senses that your confidence depends on her reaction, she stops seeing you as a man and starts seeing you as a boy looking for permission to exist. And this is where older men naturally have an advantage. Not because they're older, but because they've been disappointed enough times to stop worshipping people. They've lived long enough to understand that validation is a drug. And like every drug, the more you depend on it, the weaker you become. The older guy doesn't walk into a conversation thinking, I hope she likes me. He walks in thinking, let's see if she deserves my time. That shift alone changes everything. You see, most men approach women like they're applying for a job. They're trying to qualify. They're trying to prove they're funny enough, interesting enough, rich enough, cool enough. And the irony is, the more you try to prove yourself, the more you communicate that you're not valuable. Because value never begs to be seen. Real value is felt. It doesn't need a speech. It doesn't need an explanation. It just stands there quietly and lets people decide whether they can handle it. This is why women are turned on by men who don't seek approval. Because it signals something deeper than confidence. It signals emotional independence. And emotional independence is rare. It's rare because most people are addicted to being liked. They will shift their personality, their opinions, even their morals just to avoid rejection. They will agree with anything. They will laugh at jokes that aren't funny. They will pretend to enjoy things they hate. All because they're terrified of one thing, being unwanted. But an older man doesn't fear being unwanted, not because he's arrogant, but because he's experienced life enough to know that rejection is not death. It's just clarity. And when a woman sees that you're not afraid of losing her, she automatically respects you more. And respect is where real attraction begins. Not superficial attraction, not temporary excitement, but deep, dangerous attraction. The kind that sits in her mind even when she's alone. the kind that makes her replay conversations in her head. Because the truth is, women don't want a man who makes them feel powerful. They want a man who makes them feel safe. And safety is not created by a man who is desperate. Safety is created by a man who is stable. A man who is not emotionally dependent on her moods. A man who doesn't collapse if she pulls away. A man who can stand firm in himself, whether she stays or leaves. And that's why approval seeking kills desire. Because when you seek her approval, you're silently telling her, you have power over me. And women might enjoy attention, but they are not attracted to a man they can control. That's not romance. That's not passion. That's parenting. And no woman wants to feel like she's raising a grown man emotionally. This is why the older guy feels different. He doesn't need to text her every hour. He doesn't need instant reassurance. He doesn't need to ask, "Are you mad?" every time her tone changes. He doesn't need to check if she's still interested. He assumes his worth, and that assumption creates gravity. It creates presence. It creates that feeling women describe as, "I don't know what it is about him, but he's different." And you know what's interesting? The man who doesn't seek approval is often the man who gets the most approval. Because humans value what doesn't need them. Think about it. Anything that chases you loses value in your eyes. Anything that needs you feels less rare, less powerful, less special. But something that stands confidently without needing your attention, that becomes magnetic. Because now you're curious. Now you want to earn it. This is exactly how attraction works, not logically, psychologically. A woman's attraction is not based on what you say you are, it's based on what your energy reveals. And the energy of a man who seeks approval is the energy of someone who feels incomplete. He's saying without words, "I need you to confirm I'm good enough." And a woman may feel sympathy for that, but sympathy is not desire. Sympathy is not passion. Sympathy does not create obsession. A man who doesn't seek approval is communicating the opposite. He's saying, "I am complete. I am grounded. I am fine with or without you." And when a woman hears that energy, something happens inside her. She starts questioning herself. She starts thinking, why isn't he trying harder? Why isn't he desperate? What does he know? And without realizing it, she starts investing. She starts leaning in. She starts chasing. Because now she feels like she has to prove herself. And this is the part that shocks most men. Women don't chase men who chase them. Women chase men who have standards. Women chase men who can say no. Women chase men who are willing to walk away. Because walking away is power. Most men don't have that power. They tolerate disrespect. They tolerate being ignored. They tolerate being treated like an option. And they do it because they fear loneliness. They fear losing the woman. They fear not being chosen. But what they don't realize is, the moment you tolerate disrespect, you teach her that you don't value yourself. And once a woman senses you don't value yourself, she won't value you either. An older man understands something that younger men learn too late. He understands that the goal is not to be loved by everyone. The goal is to be respected by the right people. He doesn't try to win every woman. He doesn't need every woman. He doesn't chase attention because he already has something more important, self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of masculine attraction. When a man respects himself, his boundaries become natural. He doesn't have to act tough. He doesn't have to fake confidence. He doesn't have to play games. He simply doesn't tolerate what doesn't align with him. And that alone creates a sense of authority that women instinctively respond to. Because women are not attracted to a man who says, "I'm confident." Women are attracted to a man who behaves like his confidence is already settled. A man who doesn't need to announce his value. A man who doesn't get emotional when he's challenged. A man who doesn't lose himself trying to keep someone. And listen carefully. Not needing approval doesn't mean being cold. It doesn't mean being rude. It doesn't mean being arrogant. It means being emotionally mature. It means you can like a woman without worshipping her. It means you can desire her without eating her. And that's a rare kind of strength. This is why older men often feel irresistible. They've already been through enough to stop chasing what doesn't choose them. They don't beg. They don't plead. They don't negotiate their worth. They offer their presence, and if she appreciates it, she stays. If she doesn't, they move forward without bitterness. And that calmness is seductive because it shows you have a life. It shows you have options. It shows you have purpose. It shows you have identity. And when a woman meets a man who knows who he is, she feels something deeper than attraction. She feels trust. She feels security. She feels drawn into his world. And once a woman feels that, she becomes emotionally attached before she even realizes what's happening. So if you want to build this trait, start here. Stop trying to be chosen. Start becoming a man who chooses. Stop living for compliments. Start living for your standards. Stop adjusting your personality to keep someone interested. Because the right woman will never be attracted to the version of you that isn't real. The moment you stop seeking approval, you stop being desperate. And the moment you stop being desperate, you become powerful. Because the man who doesn't need validation becomes the man people naturally want to validate. And the truth is simple. A man who can stand alone is the man who becomes unforgettable. So remember this. The more you chase approval, the less respect you receive. The more you respect yourself, the more attraction you create. And if you can master that one mindset, you won't just attract women, you'll command them. Because confidence is not loud. Confidence is not aggressive. Confidence is quiet certainty. And the man who has quiet certainty doesn't need to chase anything. He becomes the thing others chase. Most men think attraction is created by what you say. They think the right words, the right compliments, the right jokes, the right stories will make a woman fall for them. So they talk and talk and talk, as if they're trying to sell themselves. They believe if they can just explain their value enough, she will finally recognize it. But that mindset is exactly why they fail. Because when a man talks too much, he doesn't sound confident, he sounds anxious. He sounds like he's trying to fill an invisible emptiness. And women feel that instantly. The truth is, women don't fall for a man because he speaks more. Women fall for a man because when he speaks, it lands. His words carry weight. His tone carries certainty. His presence carries calmness. That is why the older man has such a powerful advantage. He doesn't rush his words. He doesn't fight for attention. He doesn't perform. He doesn't over-explain himself. He speaks like a man who is already comfortable in his own skin. And that's what most men don't understand. Attraction is not built through constant communication. Attraction is built through emotional impact. The older guy speaks less, but every word feels like it comes from experience. It feels like it comes from depth. It feels like it comes from someone who has lived long enough to understand life, pain, people, and patterns. And that depth makes a woman listen differently. It makes her pay attention because she senses that this is not a man trying to impress her. This is a man revealing himself in small, controlled doses. You see, there is something psychologically powerful about a man who doesn't feel the need to talk. Silence is not awkward when you have confidence. Silence is only awkward when you're insecure. Most men are terrified of silence because silence forces you to sit with yourself. Silence forces you to face the fear that you might not be interesting enough. So they fill the air with noise. They ask unnecessary questions. They laugh too much. They tell stories that aren't even funny. They try to be entertaining because deep down they think, if I stop talking, she will lose interest. But the older man knows something. A woman doesn't lose interest when you stop talking. A woman loses interest when she realizes you're talking because you're nervous. Because nervousness is weakness, and weakness is not attractive. When you speak from calmness, you create tension. When you speak slowly, you create curiosity. When you pause before answering, you create mystery. And mystery is one of the most seductive forces in human psychology. A woman doesn't want to feel like she already knows you completely within 10 minutes. She wants to discover you. She wants to feel like there's something hidden behind your eyes. She wants to feel like you are a man with layers, and layers are created through restraint, through discipline, through control. Because a man who reveals everything too quickly feels cheap. But a man who reveals himself slowly feels valuable. This is why the older guy's voice feels different. It's not just about what he says. It's about how he says it. He doesn't speak like he's asking for permission. He speaks like he's stating reality. And that tone alone changes how a woman experiences him. When you speak with certainty, you create authority. When you speak without needing approval, you create dominance. Not aggressive dominance, not toxic dominance, but psychological dominance. The kind that makes a woman naturally respect you before she even understands why. And women are not attracted to a man who tries to convince them. Women are attracted to a man who doesn't need to convince anyone. Because when you don't seek validation, your words become grounded. Your voice becomes stable. And stability is attractive because it signals emotional strength. There's a reason why women describe certain men as intense. Even when they are quiet, it's because intensity is not volume. Intensity is presence. It's the feeling that this man is fully here, fully aware, and fully in control of himself. And that control is magnetic. You see, the younger man often speaks from the mind. He speaks to impress. He speaks to show intelligence. He speaks to show personality. But the older man speaks from the center, from experience, from calm observation. He doesn't speak to impress her. He speaks to express himself. And that's the key difference. A man who expresses is powerful. A man who impresses is insecure. When you try to impress, you become a performer. And performers are entertaining, but they are not respected. Women might laugh, women might smile, but deep down they don't feel safe. Because a man who is constantly performing is unpredictable. He might change his personality tomorrow if someone else is watching. But a man who speaks calmly and intentionally feels consistent. And consistency is trust. Another thing men don't realize is that women listen to tone more than content. A woman is not analyzing your words the way you think she is. She is analyzing your energy. She is reading your certainty. She is reading your self-control. She is reading the emotional message underneath the sentence. This is why a simple sentence spoken with confidence can be more attractive than a whole paragraph spoken with nervousness. A man who says, "I'll call you tomorrow," and means it, is more powerful than a man who sends 10 messages trying to keep her engaged. A man who says, "I don't like that," calmly and directly, is more attractive than a man who stays silent and builds resentment. A man who can look at her, pause, and speak with certainty creates a sense of tension that no amount of flirting can replace. And here is the most important part. When a man speaks less, a woman starts speaking more. She starts filling the space. She starts explaining herself. She starts revealing her emotions. She starts investing. Because silence makes people uncomfortable, and the first person who talks too much is usually the person who is trying to gain control. The older man doesn't need to gain control. He already has it, so he allows silence. And silence pulls the woman toward him. Silence makes her chase the conversation. Silence makes her want to earn his reaction. This is where attraction becomes psychological, because now she feels like she's being evaluated. She feels like she's being studied. And that feeling awakens something inside her. It awakens femininity. It awakens curiosity. It awakens the desire to impress you. Because women naturally respond to a man who has standards, and standards are communicated through restraint. This is why older men are so attractive even without trying. They are not desperate to be heard. They are comfortable being misunderstood. They are comfortable not being liked by everyone. They are comfortable with their own thoughts, and that comfort is rare. Most people are terrified of tea, their own mind. They need noise, entertainment, distraction. But a man who can sit in silence and still feel powerful is a man who has conquered something deeper than women. He has conquered himself. And when a woman senses that you have conquered yourself, she senses that you can handle her. She senses that you won't be shaken by her emotions. She senses that you won't collapse when life becomes difficult. And that is when attraction becomes intense. Because she realizes you are not just a man who can talk. You are a man who can lead. A man who speaks less is also a man who listens more. And listening is seductive because when you truly listen, a woman feels seen. And when she feels seen, she feels emotionally safe. And when she feels emotionally safe, she becomes emotionally open. And when she becomes emotionally open, she becomes attached. Most men try to get women to like them by talking. The older man gets women to like him by listening and then responding with precision. That precision is what makes his words feel powerful. It's not random talking. It's calculated. It's intentional. It's sharp. And that's why every word hits harder. Because his words are not coming from Ed. They are coming from clarity. So if you want to develop this trait, stop trying to impress women with words. Stop trying to entertain. Stop trying to win conversations. Learn to pause. Learn to breathe. Learn to let silence exist without panic. Speak slowly. Speak clearly. Speak only when you have something meaningful to say, and watch what happens. You will notice that women begin leaning in. They begin listening. They begin wanting more of you. Because when you speak less, you become rare. And rare things are valuable. Rare things are desired. Rare things are chased. And that is the truth. Your power is not in how much you say. Your power is in the fact that you can stay silent and still be respected. So remember this. The man who talks to be liked becomes forgettable, but the man who speaks with purpose becomes unforgettable. Most men don't lose women because they are unattractive. They lose women because they are emotionally unstable. They are inconsistent. One day they're confident, the next day they're insecure. One moment they're calm, the next moment they're overthinking. One moment they're acting like a king, the next moment they're acting like a desperate boy begging for attention. And what most men don't realize is that women notice these shifts immediately. Women don't just listen to what you say, they feel what you are. And the moment your emotions start controlling you, you start losing your power. This is why emotional control is one of the most attractive traits an older man naturally has. Not because he's perfect, but because he's been through enough life to understand one thing. Your emotions are real, but they are not always truthful. And if you build your decisions around temporary feelings, you become a slave to your own mind. That is what women see in younger men. They see men who are ruled by mood, by ego, by jealousy, by fear. And that is exhausting. not just for the woman, but for the man himself. Let's be honest. A woman can sense emotional weakness the same way she can sense danger. It's instinctive. When a man gets irritated easily, when he gets jealous quickly, when he overreacts to small things, it signals immaturity. It signals instability. And instability is one of the biggest attraction killers. Because the feminine mind is always scanning for one thing. Can I feel safe with this man? Not just physically, but emotionally. Can I express myself without him collapsing? Can I have a mood without him becoming insecure? Can I be feminine without him becoming fragile? Most men don't understand that a woman's emotions are not always personal. Sometimes she is tired, sometimes she is stressed, sometimes she is overwhelmed, sometimes she is testing. And the immature man takes everything as an insult. He thinks every mood is about him. He thinks every silence is rejection. He thinks every delayed reply means she found someone better. So he panics. He starts sending paragraphs. He starts demanding explanations. He starts trying to control her behavior. And the more he tries to control her, the more he exposes that he cannot control himself. An older man doesn't do that. He doesn't panic when she pulls away. He doesn't collapse when she becomes distant. He doesn't start chasing when her attention changes. He stays calm. He stays grounded. And that calmness is not weakness. That calmness is power. Because calmness tells a woman that you are not desperate for emotional reassurance. Calmness tells her that you are stable enough to handle uncertainty. Calmness tells her that you have internal authority. And internal authority is rare. The truth is, women don't want a man who is always happy. They want a man who is emotionally disciplined. There's a difference. A man who is always happy is often fake. He's suppressing his real emotions. He's trying to appear strong. But emotional discipline is different. Emotional discipline means you can feel anger, but you don't become anger. You can feel jealousy, but you don't act like a jealous man. You can feel insecurity, but you don't behave like an insecure man. You observe your emotions instead of obeying them. And that ability is what separates boys from men. Most men are reactive. They live like their emotions are their master. If she flirts with another man, they explode. If she posts a picture, they get possessive. If she doesn't respond quickly, they become bitter. They start acting cold, trying to punish her, and they think this is strength. But it's not strength. It's emotional weakness disguised as masculinity. A strong man doesn't punish. A strong man doesn't chase. A strong man doesn't react. A strong man responds with clarity. And women are deeply attracted to that clarity because clarity creates safety. If a man is emotional, chaotic, she can never relax. She can never feel secure. She's always wondering what will trigger him. She's always monitoring his mood. And that's not love. That's emotional labor. A woman can tolerate many things, but she will not stay emotionally attached to a man who feels like a responsibility. She wants a partner, not a project. This is why older men often feel so addictive. They are not easily shaken. Their mood doesn't rise and fall based on her behavior. They don't treat her attention like a drug. They don't treat her compliments like oxygen. They have emotional independence. And emotional independence is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have, because it signals that you have already built your identity. You're not borrowing your confidence from her validation. And this is where men get it wrong. They think emotional control means being cold. They think it means being distant, ignoring feelings, acting like you don't care. But women don't want cold men. Women want composed men. A composed man is warm but not needy. He is affectionate but not dependent. He is emotionally present but not emotionally unstable. He can love without losing himself. And the T is the highest form of masculinity. A woman is not turned on by a man who says, "I'm strong." She is turned on by a man who remains strong when life tests him. She is turned on by a man who remains calm when she is emotional. She is turned on by a man who doesn't lose control when challenged, because a man who controls himself is a man who can control his life. And if he can control his life, she feels like she can trust him. And trust is the foundation of deep attraction. You see, emotional control is not about suppressing emotion. It's about mastering your reactions. It's about understanding that your feelings are temporary, but your decisions create your future. It's about being able to sit with discomfort without becoming impulsive. This is why emotional control is linked to wisdom. It's linked to patience. It's linked to power. Because the man who reacts emotionally is predictable. He is easy to manipulate, but the man who pauses, thinks, and responds with calmness is dangerous in the best way. He cannot be controlled. And women are fascinated by men they cannot control. Not because they want to dominate, but because it creates respect, it creates polarity, it creates tens, ion. A woman wants to feel that she is with a man who has a spine, a man who doesn't crumble when emotions rise, a man who can handle pressure without turning into chaos. This is also why older men don't argue the way younger men do. Younger men argue to win. They argue to prove they're right. They argue because their ego is fragile. But an emotionally controlled man doesn't argue for ego. He speaks for truth. He doesn't raise his voice to be heard. He doesn't insult to feel powerful. He doesn't try to dominate the conversation. He stays calm, and his calmness becomes the loudest voice in the room, and that calmness creates authority. When you are calm, people assume you are confident. When you are calm, people assume you are experienced. When you are calm, people assume you are in control. That's why a calm man can walk into a room and shift the atmosphere without doing anything. His presence speaks before his mouth opens. Now let's talk about the real reason women are turned on by emotional control, because emotional control is a sign of maturity. And maturity is erotic. It's erotic because it makes a woman feel safe enough to surrender. And surrender is where feminine desire lives. A woman cannot surrender to a man she doesn't trust, and she cannot trust a man who is emotionally unstable. A woman might be entertained by an emotional man. She might even feel excited by drama for a short time, but she will never feel deeply secure. And without security, attraction eventually dies. Because no woman wants to build a future with a man who is ruled by his moods. No woman wants to carry the emotional weight of a man who cannot carry himself. So if you want to build this trait, you must start with one harsh truth. Your emotions are your responsibility, not hers, not society's, not your past, not your childhood. Your emotions are yours. And if you cannot manage them, you will always lose the people you desire. Not because you're unlovable, but because you're unsafe. Emotionally unsafe. Learn to pause before reacting. Learn to breathe when you feel triggered. Learn to respond instead of explode. Learn to let silence happen without panic. Learn to accept uncertainty without desperation. This is what makes a man powerful. This is what makes a man rare. And when you become rare, women don't just like you. They respect you. They crave you. They trust you. Because they sense that you are a man who can handle life. And if you can handle life, you can handle her. And that is what women want. Not perfection. Not constant romance. Not fake confidence. They want emotional strength. They want stability. They want a man whose mind is stronger than his impulses. Because in the end, the man who can control himself is the man who can attract anything. So remember this. A man who is ruled by emotion will always chase love, but a man who masters his emotions will become the kind of man love chases. Most men don't realize this, But one of the biggest reasons women lose attraction is not because the man is bad, it's because the man is empty. He has no direction, no mission, no hunger, no internal fire. He wakes up, scrolls his phone, talks about random things, chases pleasure, and then wonders why a woman slowly becomes uninterested. And what's painful is that he thinks she left because she found someone better looking. But the truth is deeper than that. She left because she didn't feel like he was going anywhere. A woman can forgive many things. She can forgive imperfections. She can forgive flaws. She can forgive mistakes. But it is very difficult for a woman to stay emotionally invested in a man who feels like he has no future. Because women are not only attracted to what you are today, women are attracted to what you are becoming. They are attracted to the direction of your life. They are attracted to the momentum behind your personality. That's why purpose is not just attractive. Purpose is masculine. Purpose is magnetic. Purpose is what separates a man from a boy. This is why older men often carry a different kind of energy. They don't just talk about life. They have lived it. They have goals. They have scars. They have responsibilities. They have something they are building, and that makes them feel grounded. A man who has a mission doesn't have time to obsess over texts. He doesn't have time to sit and overthink every little thing a woman says. His mind is occupied by something bigger than his emotions, and that alone creates a sense of power around him. Because let's be honest, a man who has nothing to do will make a woman his entertainment. He will make her his hobby. He will make her his emotional escape. And at first, she might enjoy it. She might enjoy the attention. She might enjoy being desired. But very quickly, it becomes suffocating because no woman wants to feel like she is the center of a man's existence. That is not romantic. That is pressure. That is responsibility. That is emotional weight. And a woman cannot stay attracted to a man who places his entire happiness in her hands. This is where men make the biggest mistake. They think love means obsession. They think love means giving her all their time, all their energy, all their focus. But true masculine love is different. Masculine love is leadership. Masculine love is structure. Masculine love is having a direction and inviting her into that direction, not abandoning your direction for her. A man who throws away his goals to keep a woman is not proving love. He is proving weakness. And weakness kills attraction faster than anything. Women want to feel like a man's life is already moving, like he already has a world, like he already has purpose, because then she doesn't feel like she has to carry him. She feels like she can relax. She feels like she can be feminine. She feels like she can surrender. And surrender is what creates deep attraction. A woman cannot surrender to a man who has no direction because she senses that if she lets go, everything will collapse. That is why purpose creates emotional safety. It signals to a woman that this man can handle life, that he has ambition, that he has discipline, that he has self-respect, that he is not waiting for someone to save him. He is building something, even if it's slowly. And the interesting thing is, women are not even obsessed with what your purpose is. It doesn't have to be millions of dollars. It doesn't have to be fame. It doesn't have to be some dramatic dream. What matters is that you have something that gives your life meaning, something you wake up for, something that demands your effort, something that requires sacrifice. Because a man who sacrifices for his purpose is a man who understands commitment. And commitment is attractive. Not commitment to her, but commitment to something greater than comfort. That's what women are drawn to. They are drawn to a man who has self-control, a man who can delay pleasure, a man who can suffer today for a future reward. Because if he can do that, then he can be trusted. If he can do that, then he can build stability. If he can do that, then he can lead. And leadership is one of the most seductive forces in the world. A woman does not want a man who is lost. She wants a man who is clear, clear about his values, clear about his future, clear about what he wants, clear about what he will not tolerate. And purpose creates that clarity. When you have a mission, your standards rise naturally. Your discipline becomes automatic. Your choices become sharper. You stop wasting time. You stop entertaining nonsense. You stop chasing validation because you are busy chasing growth. This is why older men are so attractive. They are not begging for attention because they are building something. And a man who is building something becomes attractive even when he is silent, even when he is not trying, because his energy speaks for him, his routine speaks for him, his ambition speaks for him, his discipline speaks for him. Most men don't understand that women are not attracted to laziness. Women are attracted to direction. A man who is constantly available is not attractive. A man who is always free is not attractive because it signals that nothing important is happening in his life. And a woman might enjoy him for fun, but she will not respect him deeply, because respect is earned when a man proves he can manage his time, his goals, his responsibilities. Respect is earned when a man is busy becoming something. And here's the deeper psychological truth. A man with purpose does not fear losing a woman, because he knows his life still has meaning without her. That is why purpose makes you emotionally strong. It gives you a spine. It gives you stability. It gives you an identity. And when a woman feels that you have an identity that cannot be shaken, she becomes curious. She becomes drawn in. She wants to be part of that world. She wants to be included. She wants to be chosen. Because women don't want to be the reason you are alive. They want to be the woman who is lucky enough to share your life. They want to feel like they are joining something valuable, not babysitting something fragile. This is also why women often become obsessed with men who have goals. Even if those men are not perfect, even if they are not romantic, even if they are not always emotionally expressive, because a man with a mission carries a masculine energy that is irresistible. He has structure, he has certainty, he has direction, and direction creates attraction because it creates the feeling of a future. Women are deeply connected to the idea of potential. They don't just fall in love with what you are. They fall in love with what you could become. But here's the catch. Potential only excites a woman when she sees action, when she sees effort, when she sees discipline. A man who talks about dreams but never works is not attractive. That's not ambition. That's fantasy. And fantasy is childish. The older man doesn't talk about his goals all day. He moves. He builds. He executes. And women notice that. Women notice the man who has routine. Women notice the man who works silently. Women notice the man who doesn't need applause. Because that man is rare. Most people want attention before they do the work, but the man with purpose does the work first. And that is why his energy feels powerful. And if you want to become that man, you have to stop making women your main goal. That doesn't mean you stop loving. That doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop treating romance like the only thing that matters. Build your body, build your career, build your mindset, build your skills, build your discipline, build your finances, build your future. Because when you build yourself, you naturally become the kind of man women want to build with. And that's the truth. Women don't want to fix you. Women want to join you. Women don't want to motivate you. Women want to admire you. Women don't want to become your purpose. Women want to be part of your purpose. So if your life feels empty, don't blame women. Don't blame rejection. Don't blame society. Build a mission. Find something worth suffering for. Find something worth waking up early for. Find something worth sacrificing comfort for. Because a man without purpose will always chase pleasure, but a man with purpose will always attract power. And when you become a man with purpose, women won't just like you. They will feel you. They will respect you. They will crave you. Because purpose is not just a goal. Purpose is proof that you are a man who is alive. And in the end, the most attractive thing you can ever become is a man who is moving forward, even when nobody is watching. Now we come to the most dangerous trait of all, and I call it dangerous because it is the trait that separates the men women casually like from the men women never forget. This is the trait that creates obsession. This is the trait that makes a woman feel emotionally exposed in front of you, even when you haven't said anything offensive. Because when a man has this trait, he doesn't just look attractive, he feels psychologically powerful. The trait is simple, but most men never develop it. He understands women deeply, but he is not controlled by them. And that might sound like a small thing, but it isn't. In fact, it is one of the rarest forms of masculine intelligence. Because most men are confused by women. They either fear women, worship women, or resent women. And all three reactions come from the same weakness: lack of understanding. The average man sees a woman's emotions as chaos. He sees her mood shifts as irrational. He sees her standards as confusing. And because he doesn't understand her, he becomes reactive. He becomes insecure. He becomes frustrated. And then he does one of two things. He either tries to please her or he tries to dominate her. But both of these behaviors are rooted in the same insecurity. He is trying to regain control of something he doesn't understand. The older man doesn't do that because he understands something that younger men learn too late. Women are emotional beings, but that does not mean they are illogical. It means their logic is different. Women are not always speaking to give information. Many times, women are speaking to express emotion. They are releasing energy. They are processing reality out loud. And when a man doesn't understand this, he starts arguing with her feelings. He starts correcting her. He starts explaining why she shouldn't feel what she feels. And that is where attraction dies. Because a woman does not want a man who debates her emotions. She wants a man who can handle them. And this is where the older man becomes magnetic. He listens without panicking. He understands without overreacting. He stays grounded while she expresses herself. And when she sees that, she feels something that is almost primal. She feels safe, not safe like a friend, but safe like a woman around a man who is emotionally strong enough to contain the situation. This is what men don't understand. Women don't want a man who is easily impressed by them. Women want a man who is not easily shaken by them. And that is the difference between a boy and a man. A boy gets emotionally hijacked. A man stays centered. Now, when I say he understands women, I don't mean he memorizes tricks or manipulation tactics. That's what weak men do. They study women like a puzzle because they are afraid of rejection. But the older man understands women through experience, through observation, through emotional intelligence. He has been through relationships. He has seen patterns. He has learned that women are not attracted to a man who is constantly available, constantly agreeable, constantly seeking her approval. He has learned that women are attracted to a man who has boundaries, who has standards, who can say no without guilt. Because a man who says no is a man who has a spine, and a man with a spine is a man who commands respect. Most men think attraction is built by pleasing women. They think if they say yes to everything, if they never disagree, if they never challenge her, then she will love them. But what they don't realize is that love is not created by obedience. Love is created by polarity. Love is created by tension. Love is created by difference. A woman cannot feel deeply attracted to a man she can control, Because control removes mystery. Control removes excitement. Control removes respect. That is why the older man feels different. He understands what she wants emotionally, but he doesn't become her servant. He understands her needs, but he doesn't abandon his own. He understands her feelings, but he doesn't sacrifice his standards to keep her comfortable. This is what makes him rare, because the average man is either too soft or too harsh. He is either too emotional or too cold. He is either a people pleaser or an arrogant ego. But the older man has balance. He is firm but calm. He is confident but respectful. He is emotionally present but not emotionally needy. He can lead without controlling. He can care without begging. And that is what women truly crave. Not a man who is perfect, but a man who is stable. You see, women test men constantly, not because women are evil, not because women enjoy drama, but because it is instinct. A woman's mind is always asking one question: can this man handle me? Can he handle my emotions? Can he handle my beauty? Can he handle my attention? Can he handle my silence? Can he handle my independence? Can he handle my intensity? And the moment a man reacts like a child, she gets her answer. No, he cannot handle me. And once she feels that, she might still talk to you, she might still smile, she might still stay around. But the deep attraction starts dying, because women don't want to feel like they are too much for you. They want to feel like you are enough for them. The older man understands this. So when she tests him, he doesn't fight her. He doesn't argue. He doesn't beg. He doesn't try to win. He stays calm. He stays playful. He stays grounded. He responds like a man who has nothing to prove. And that is where the magic happens. Because when a woman sees that her moods cannot control you, her beauty cannot control you, her attention cannot control you, her silence cannot control you, she starts feeling something powerful. She starts feeling respect, and respect turns into desire. This is why women often become addicted to men who are emotionally stable and psychologically aware, because those men don't just react to surface behavior. They see deeper. They see the insecurity behind the anger. They see the fear behind the attitude. They see the vulnerability behind the coldness. And they respond to the truth, not the performance. And when you respond to the truth, you make a woman feel exposed. Not in a negative way, but in a real way. Because she realizes she cannot manipulate you. She cannot confuse you. She cannot distract you. She cannot hide behind games. And let me tell you something. A woman might act like she wants a man she can control, but deep down she doesn't. Deep down she wants a man who is stronger than her emotions, because that strength makes her feel safe enough to be feminine. And femininity thrives when there is masculine stability. This is why the older man is so attractive. He doesn't get offended easily. He doesn't take everything personally. He doesn't interpret every mood as rejection. He understands that women are fluid. They are emotional waves, and a wave does not need to be fought. A wave needs to be understood. The immature man fights the wave. He tries to control her emotions. He tries to demand consistency. He tries to force logic, and he fails, because emotion cannot be controlled through pressure. Emotion can only be guided through calmness. The older man guides. He doesn't chase her when she pulls away. He gives her space. He lets her feel. He lets her come back naturally. And when she comes back, he doesn't punish her. He doesn't act bitter. He doesn't try to make her feel guilty. He simply continues being the same man. Consistency is one of the most attractive things on earth. Because consistency tells a woman, this man is real, this man is stable, this man is not pretending, this man is not acting, this man is not performing masculinity, he is masculinity. And here is the most important part. The older man understands women, but he is not controlled by them because he is controlled by something greater. He is controlled by his values. He is controlled by his standards. He is controlled by his purpose. He is controlled by his self-respect. A man with self-respect does not tolerate disrespect. A man with standards does not beg. A man with values does not chase attention. A man with purpose does not make a woman his entire life. And that is why women are drawn to him. Because he is not desperate. He is not confused. He is not easily manipulated. He sees through behavior and stays centered. If you want to become this man, you must stop reacting emotionally. You must stop letting women's moods dictate your self-worth. You must stop needing constant reassurance. You must stop treating attraction like a game. If luck, start studying human psychology. Start observing patterns. Start understanding feminine nature without hating it, without fearing it, without worshipping it. Because the goal is not to defeat women. The goal is to understand them while still remaining yourself. A man who understands women and still remains grounded is a man who becomes unforgettable, because he gives her what she has always wanted but rarely finds. A man who can handle her without losing himself. And if you can master that, you won't just attract women. You will attract respect. You will attract loyalty. You will attract desire that lasts. Because at the end of the day, the most powerful man is not the man who controls women. The most powerful man is the man who controls himself. And once you control yourself, nothing outside of you can control your life.